Hi, my name is Luke. I'm the founder of BatNote, and today I'm going to be presenting access point mapping. So this is a feature we've just introduced into our latest release, which is version 1.1.0. And what access point mapping allows ecologists to do is mark up directly on survey imagery potential roost features and points where bats can emerge from, and be able to then link bat observations that have been marked as an emergence directly to those access points. That will then get carried into the final report that gets generated in BatNote, where you'll be able to see all your evidence structured very nicely, linked with the bat observations that have come from those points that has been marked up. So yeah, there's a bit to get through. So I'm breaking it down into kind of a 4-part video series to cover access point mapping. This is how it's going to be run. So for part one, being this one, we'll be marking access points directly onto survey imagery and just kind of showing you how it's done and what kind of capabilities you have in that area. Then we'll be going into part two, where we'll be linking bat observations that have been marked as emergence to those access points where they've come from or to. And then part three will be going through just generating that final report and seeing how all that evidence is then structured and then presented, where you can then export that out afterwards to your colleagues or clients or whoever of interest for that. And then finally, part four will be editing access points on a completed survey. So if an ecologist needs to make any amendments or any changes to access points after they've completed the survey, you can. It's completely possible in BatNote to do that. So yeah, that's how it's going to go. We're going to run that. Before I get directly into it, just a little bit about me is so I'm a software engineer. I'm not an ecologist. However, my brother, he is an ecologist and he runs his own consultancy firm. So that's how I got into the space in the first place. What I would do is I would help him out now and again doing some bat emergence surveys. And then from there, I was kind of able to kind of see the potential pain points that ecologists experience, I guess, from doing those types of surveys with the current methodologies that were in place at that time. So BatNote is very much just designed as a tool to kind of help eliminate some of those pain points and just make it a bit easier for the ecologists when they're out surveying for bat emergence surveys and other bat surveys to come. So let's get straight into it. If I bring up the screen, so 1 second. Okay, so I'm fully aware this is actually the first video that I've done of BatNote. So I'm gonna try and keep it focused for covering the access point mapping feature. However, I will try and cover some of the basics that we have of BatNote as well, just so you have the full picture. So let's create a survey. So one, we're creating a survey. This is very much probably all familiar to existing users. Not much has really changed in this area in this update. There's a couple of changes. So the first one that people might notice is now we have a survey type field. So as of this version, we can now support re-entry surveys. I understand they're not as popular or not as common to do anymore, but the support is there. So it will now capture directly the sunrise date and time. But again, we can just flip that back to emergent survey. And then if I scroll down again, it will then capture the sunset. On the weather, actually, so BatNote automatically fetches the weather for you of where you're currently located, so that all the weather condition details that you need to know are directly captured by BatNote. And in here again, we can just very much common details. I won't go too much over it. Your name, the start time of the survey, the date, and also select site. So what that is as you start kind of doing surveys with BatNote, this will feed into the next screen that you'll see, is you'll be able to create surveys for a particular site. So if you're returning to a site to do a second emergent survey, then you can tie that to the same site, which will save you putting in the site details again on the screen to come. So for now, I'm just going to put in the equipment that I'm using for the survey. So I'm just going to say I'm using an echo meter, and then my night vision aid will be some IR cameras. Obviously, you can be more specific than that. And we can click next. Yeah, so this now brings you into the site details screen. So in here, we log the site name that we're on, and then obviously the address. So you can automatically, this will automatically fill it in for you based on your current location on your device. So if I click that, it's then filled in my location for me. I don't live at the Royal Pavilion. I've just put that there as my location for this demo. And then the site name I'm just going to put as Royal. Yeah, so BatNote already supporting OS grid references as well. So it will automatically get the grid reference number based on the location that where you're at. It supports the precision that it supports is 10-figure, 8-figure, and 6-figure, and you can change that in the settings, which I'll show you later actually how to do that. For now, I've got it set to be a 10-figure grid reference for that. And yeah, so this is our site details filled in. Now, this is the first big change in this version is we now have a dedicated screen for managing and uploading survey images onto the survey. So from here, if I tap here, you'll be able to you can either use your camera or if you've already taken images of the site or whatever you're surveying, you can go to your media and then upload those in. So in my case, I've prepared some images. So I'm going to use this one. Second, I'm going to use that one. And I'll add this one as well. So you can have up to 4 images at the moment for a survey to cover each elevation. So for my demo, I've got one that's just got the perspective of the entire building, and then in particular, just some close-ups of certain points of interest. And those are my images. So I can now click continue to access points. And then in here, okay, this is where a lot of the work's gone in for this particular update. So now ecologists can directly add access points onto the images that they've uploaded. And to do that, you just simply click add point. And then in here, you can just tap a point on the image of interest where you want to mark a potential roost feature. So for here, I can say that's an eave gap. So yeah, so on here we got eave gap. Now, yeah, so in terms of when you add a point, so you simply just tap on the screen where you want to add a point, and then that will then generate you a number, and then from there you can drag the offset to where you want to position it. It's completely up to you. So this is completely draggable, and you can position it where suits essentially on that imagery. You can remove access points as well. So if you're not happy where you've pinned it, or for whatever reason you just want to remove it off that image, you can by simply just tapping the access point and then clicking remove, and then that will remove it for you. Again, I'm just going to add that back in. And then give it a roost feature, which is eave gap, and then save. You can add as many points as you like as well. There's no limit on that, because obviously you might have an image or what you're surveying has many access points. So yeah, there's no limit whatsoever how many points you can have for a given image on using BatNote. So I'm just going to put another one here, which is this is going to be for the barge board. Now I've tried to cover as many roost features as I'm aware of. If I've missed any, then by all means just please let me know, because I can add them in. It's not a problem. They're quite easy. It's easy for me to amend this list. But yeah, I think I've covered the majority, but yeah, just let me know. So we've got 2 access points for the third image, and then I'm also going to add one for the second image as well. So again, I'm going to add one here for the barge board. That's the roost feature. And I'm going to add one actually for the tile. Let's give it a ridge tile gap. Yeah, let's go for that. So we click save. So I've got 2 access points for image 2 and image 3, and I have no access points marked up for my primary image. And that is it. So for this part, so what we'll do in part 2 is now we'll start the survey, and then we'll start adding bat observations, and I'll show you how you can then link those observations to the given access points that we've marked up on our images.